Hi everyone, Morgan Knudsen here from Supernatural Circumstances podcast with myself and Mike Brown. This is the third spiritual healthcare episode that is at the end of every single podcast. We've moved it to video, as many of you know already, and it's really exciting. So this is for the third episode, The Pauper's Ghost. If you haven't listened to the new episode of Supernatural Circumstances, you can download it anywhere you podcast. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's on Apple, Spotify, you name it. Go download it, listen to it, and then come on right back here for spiritual healthcare every episode. So, The Pauper's Ghost is such an interesting case, and there are many lessons, I think, to be derived from not only the level in which this case was handled, but the people themselves. And many people know this case not as the Pauper's Ghost, but as the Seaford Poltergeist. And the Seaford Ghost, the Seaford Poltergeist, has really gone down in history as the hallmark or the inspiration for the movie that we all came to know and love, Poltergeist. Now, what's interesting about this is that today, when we've got so many movies and TV shows and all of those things that are out there that really go overboard when it comes to ghost hunting and investigations, and what people are calling investigations on television is not parapsychology, and very few times do you actually get to see or bear witness to an investigation that parapsychologists would give 2 thumbs up to. It's become very much entertainment, which is a lot of fun. However, they often mischaracterize or misdiagnose events and situations that, well, sometimes that can be of detriment to the people involved. So the wonderful thing about the Seaford Poltergeist was that they had one of the best investigators, in my opinion, at their disposal to investigate this case, and that was Dr. William Roll. If you haven't had the chance to read Dr. William Roll's work, please do so. Please look it up. His papers are absolutely amazing, and he has pioneered many incredible concepts about psychokinesis and about the emotional ties between people like our main characters in the Seaford Poltergeist and emotions. So the one thing that I really encourage everybody to take away from this particular episode is that when you're going ahead and you're watching some of these shows, is to remember that so much of the time, this activity that we kind of blame on outside forces actually is a reflection of our state of being at times as well. And if we're perceiving it, that means it's somewhere muddled in our frequencies, our vibration, our perception. So it's really worth a chance to take a look at not only yourself, but the relationships that you have with the world, the outside world, and with your family. Now, in the case of the Seaford Poltergeist, there was tensions between the son and his father that were just not spoken about. And we talked a little bit about this in last week's Supernatural Circumstances. When emotions get quelched and oppressed, we often want to blame the activity on something else. Anything else has to be to blame apart from ourselves. And blame is the wrong word, because blame implies fault, and that's really not true. But when we sort of bury emotions, this can happen. And we see an outpouring of poltergeist activity and stuff that looks like it's got to be external. So the one thing to remember, whether you're an investigator or you're just really into these amazing stories, or whatever it is for you, is that when this stuff starts to occur and happen, or you're sitting back and you're watching one of your favorite ghost hunting shows, is to remember that it really does always come back to the people at the end of the day. Yeah, the environment can play a role. Absolutely, the environment can play a role. But we have to take a hard look at the perceivers of the experience, and not just isolate it to, it has to be something external. We are the ones that are perceiving our environment. It kind of comes down to that old analogy of, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? Well, without the perceiver, does it really? So we have to take a look at how we are perceiving things. A really great example of this is when we have a situation where a group of people witness perhaps an apparition or some sort of phenomena. what's really interesting is that oftentimes they will come back and say they've seen the same person, or it's the same phenomenon, or something like that. But there will be differences. And so for a good example of this is people who have said to see angels. Some people say, oh, I saw an angel, I saw beautiful, brilliant wings. And then another person who might not believe in angels, but might believe in a higher power or energy or whatever it is for you, might say, oh, I didn't see angel wings, I saw brilliant lights. And this is actually an example that I heard about a number of years back, and I could never shake it out of my memory. Everybody witnessed something, but their perception changed what they were looking at. So when we look at this phenomenon, we really have to take into account what's going on with us. And that's what I encourage you guys to do as you go forward into this amazing exploration of paranormal activity, is where do we fall in that great big equation of mystery and anomalies and incredible experiences? Because we are not just experiencing this as an offshoot of our imaginations, or being, we're not experiencing this as something asserted onto us, but there's a reason why we perceive what we perceive. And when we don't heal those wounds, oftentimes that stuff comes up and out in ways that we just don't expect. So next time you're watching your shows, whatever, take a look at it with that in mind, and see if you can see the patterns and see it a little bit differently, because I guarantee you, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Spiritual Healthcare, as well as this, well, here we go, episode 3 of Supernatural Circumstances. As I say, if you haven't downloaded it yet, please go do so. Mike and I are having a blast talking about these amazing topics. And next week or a couple of weeks from now, because they're bi-weekly, is going to be a bucket list one for me, and I'm really, really excited about it. So thank you guys so much. Come join us on social media, on our Supernatural Circumstances Facebook group on After the Show, and come join in on the conversation. Talk about these cases and just enjoy the phenomenon, because that's what this is supposed to be about. Anyways, stay curious, friends. Bye, everyone.